Hi, Serge. Tonight will look a little different than it has in the last couple of months. Tonight, we may not have the funny anecdotes or stories that you are accustomed to in true Serge fashion, because tonight we're going to talk about something different, something that's very serious. I'm sure you aren't a stranger to the headlines sweeping the nation right now. Acts of racial injustice are on the rise, culminating in the murders of Black Americans in violent, senseless ways at the hands of law enforcement. But please note, police brutality is not the only problem our brothers and sisters in 2020 America are facing. The issue is much deeper and points to hundreds of years of systematic mistreatment and abuse of Black and brown people in our country at the hands of not only our law enforcement officials, but individuals on sidewalks and public parks, store clerks, patrons at hundreds of local supermarkets and grocery stores, and the list goes on.
If you're like us, you've seen the headlines, witnessed the protest, or scoured social media to find out what is happening, and perhaps felt a deep sense of helplessness against the weight of this new kind of pandemic. The one in which generations of God's children who are desperate to be heard are seeking public forums and the attention of people in positions of power to make a change for good. Please know during this time, if you feel the deep sense of helplessness, we do too. But remember, in every time, in every climate, no matter what is going on in the world around us, we are in this together.
Our spiritual unit for the months of May and June is based around the question, what now? Originally in response to the slow reopening of Illinois after the original shelter-in-place order. 2 weeks ago, we talked about the value in being present in the right here and the right now. Last week, we talked about staying connected, not losing sight of our call to stand together, even when it's hard. This week was originally scheduled to be a call to action for all of us to do meaningful things. We had planned to talk about the value in doing things other than scrolling through Instagram, binge watching Outer Banks on Netflix, or spending countless hours learning new TikTok dances. And appropriately so, that's still our call to you tonight. Spend this time filling your days with something that is meaningful, something that begins to prepare your voice, your privilege, and your story to be used as an agent of change in our world today.
Here's what we suggest. If you're spending hours a day mindlessly scrolling through various platforms of social media, and let's just be honest, we are, then dedicate some of that time to really reading some of the testaments and historical narratives that are floating around on Facebook and Twitter. People have stories to share, and they're using the internet to do
and likewise, use these platforms and the waves of communication you have available to share your own stories with people in your life. Talk about times when you witnessed something happening in the world that was unfair. Talk about how it made you feel, and talk about what you think can be done to stand up against oppression and racism in our country. Take time also to listen to similar stories from your people. Ask questions and start meaningful conversations with each other. We are empowered by each other's stories and sharing our own. Use your voice to create safe spaces for others. That's our Christian duty for the world today.
We should take physical action by signing petitions dedicated to eliminating the chain of racism and oppression in our country. Talk to your family about calling congressmen to ask peacefully for a call to action. In our own community, stop by Wesley during daylight hours with an adult, or write down the meditation of your heart for prayers. Youth Cabinet will be praying over what is shared every day at noon. We know that what you have to share matters.
Our challenge for you is to not let the sun go down on your days without doing one truly meaningful thing in the spirit of change every day. In the book of Psalm, the 10th chapter, 18th verse, it says, "You will hear the cries of the oppressed and the orphans. You will judge in their favor, so that mortal men may cause terror no more." Hear those words, Serge. The you they are referring to in that passage is God, and we can assure you, Jesus hears the cries of his beloved children.
Let us be the hands and feet of the church, and let us hear the cries of the oppressed. Let us cause terror no more. Let us open our arms, hearts, and minds to what is happening in our communities. Let us be agents of change, and let us stand up for what is right and good. Let us rise.
So, Serge, will you rise with us?
I'll rise with you, Serge.
I'll rise with you, Serge. I love you all.
I'll rise with you, Serge.
I'll rise with you, Serge.
I'll rise with you, Serge.
Hey, Serge, with all the challenges that we're facing in our country, our community, and in our lives, just remember one thing: I will rise up with you.
I'll rise with you, Serge.